Okay, so we're going to start on lesson two. And the goal with lesson two is to review a little bit of what we learned in lesson one, just about the basic body structure of a document, of a web document. And then what we want to do is we want to introduce the concept of a tag that will change the look and feel and even the position of text. Okay, and so we're going to do that with introducing our header tags today. But before we do that, let's just review. This is what you did last page. We start off every document letting the browser know that it's an HTML document with your beginning tag, end tag. Remember, you have to indicate that it's an end tag by putting in your little / there. And then you let the browser know that you're about to create the body of the document. And give yourself a little bit of space. Okay. Now from now on, this is just going to show up for you, so you got to keep remembering it. Later, we're going to introduce something called the header, where you can put in the title of the document and some other stuff about the document. But for right now, this is clean. All right. So that's number one on our assignment, is we want to do that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create headers. Now, header tag is a tag that the browser is aware of. Okay, I'm going to show you in the next lesson how you can create lots of different look and feel of text. But this is just basically telling the browser what size you want the text to be. So you have headers from H1 all the way down. I won't write that there, that'll be confusing. All the way down to H6. So I can do H1, I can do H2, H3, H4. We're just going to probably do H1 to H3 today. But remember how we do a tag. We do the beginning tag and then we do the end tag. Okay, so that's a good way to start. Is when I'm programming, I always write both tags and then I put stuff in the middle. Okay, so what we're doing is H1, and what we're going to type there is, this is my header number 1. Okay, so we can see what that looks like. Now, if I typed in, as we saw before, if I said this is my header number 1 right there, then it would just show up like that. Whereas if I change that and I type in what I typed in, which is H1, this is my header number 1, H1, and I click show web page, it's going to show up big. Okay, so this is a way to start changing the size of text. Now also remember though what we've done, well, let's do a little quiz. When I create a beginning tag and an end tag, I've created something in my document. Starts with an E. This is an element. It's a header element. And that's going to be important because later on in our next class, we're going to show you how you can start to talk about what elements should be and what elements shouldn't be. But just remember that when you do a beginning tag and an end tag, you create an element and we can refer to that element later on. All right? But what we're going to do right now, after we do our other tag, let's see what an H1, H2 looks like. Okay, so this is my header number 2. And I'm going to copy that. Remember, I can do left click, copy, and then I can actually do right click, or I can highlight and then do right click and copy. And we'll do another one there. And so look here. This is my header number 3. Just so we can see what these things look like. So I've created 3 different headers, 3 different elements. Header 1 element, header 2 element, header 3 element. Click show page. And you can see all it does is it makes it smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is if you're organizing a document. Like you can see over here, I had the assignment for lesson 1 in a larger text than I did in each element of lesson 1. All right, so that's good. Now that's what you're going to do. All you have to do here is remember this header 1, header 2, header 3, and header 1, header 2, and header 3. But I want to introduce one more concept that's going to be really important as we go later on. As you can see here, when I click show web page, everything was aligned, everything was moved over to the left. All right, but you have a lot of space here, and you want to use it. But remember, you can't just move things over, right? If I just move this over to the center, if I just move this over to the right, it's not going to stay there. Okay, it's going to go back because I'm not giving it a tag. So what I have to do is use a tag. And the tag we're going to use, we're actually not going to use a new tag. We're going to use what's called an attribute. And we can give H1, an attribute is like something about you. So for instance, you might be a boy, or you might be well, actually, you're a human with an attribute of being a boy or an attribute of being a girl. And you might have the attribute of having blonde hair or brown hair. You might have the attribute of having brown skin or white skin. You might have the attribute of being tall or being short. Doesn't really matter. Those are all things about you. So this header is the tag, but I can create an align attribute. And so let me show you how I do that. I type in ALIGN, align. That means to like move it to the side. And then I'm going to say I want this. I do a quote, which is just to the left of your enter key on the right side, and it's above the apostrophe. And actually, you can use the apostrophe or the quote. Align equals center. So what I've just done is I have my tag. Having two tags creates this element right here. And what I just did is I assigned an attribute to that element. So I click Show Web Page. Hey, look what I just did. And I can also move one of these if I want. I can do align equals right. So now what it's going to do is rather than being left aligned over here, it's going to be all the way over here. So click Show Right. There it is. And that, by the way, is your assignment. That's what I want you to do in your lesson. Before I let you move on and let you click on your Try It Yourself link, I do want to confess something because I don't want you to get mad at me. Some of what I'm teaching you here are tags that have been existing in HTML for a long time. And as new versions of HTML come out, some of the tags get dropped or they're no longer supported. And some of this, specifically these align tags, people don't use these align tags anymore because they use something that we're going to be learning about in the next class, which are called style sheets. And that's basically where you can, in one place, say all the attributes that you want all the elements to abide by. And so that is way too sophisticated for what we want to do right here. What we want to do is understand that there are things called tags, there are things called elements when you enclose a text in a tag, and then we can use attributes, which you still use. We still use attributes, we just use them in a little bit of a different way. You use attributes in order to change things. And next lesson, you're still going to do your try it yourself and play out your assignment, but in the next lesson, we're going to use attributes on to show how we can make things different colors, different sizes, even different types of letters. Okay, but right now, what you want to do is click on the Try It Yourself link that's on the top of your lesson, and then maybe take a look at the sample code and get started.